Hey everyone, I'm Mary Schwartz. I am a practice management nerd, and you are joining Simple Interrupted, where we dig into the tools that make the systems that are supposed to make clinic life easier, and we get honest about when they really don't. If that sounds like your kind of conversation, hit subscribe, leave a review, and if this episode hits home, send it to someone who would benefit from it and needs to hear it. Today's guest is Maria Pirita. Maria, I would love for you to introduce yourself.
Oh, Mary, thank you so much for having me. My name's Maria. I'm a certified veterinary practice manager. I was in veterinary medicine I've been in it for about 13 years now. And I currently work for Uncharted Veterinary, which is basically where we get to help teams grow and flourish. So we'll do a lot of training programs with managers and leaders. We've got the podcast and we've got a bunch of events and we've got just a whole community of veterinary professionals that get together regularly to talk about topics like what we're talking about today, actually. So
Yeah, if
happy
you
to be
haven't
here.
checked out Uncharted, you should definitely check it out. They have a lot of really, really great conversations there, and it's a wonderful place to find some community as well. So,
Oh, thank you.
well, today I know you and I had a great conversation at Western Veterinary Conference
Yeah.
where we talked a lot about CSRs in clinics, right? And CSRs join practices. They're probably one of the only roles that join a practice cold off the street. They maybe it's considered typically an entry level job. It's definitely paid like an entry level job.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a whole other topic that we could get into, but we won't.
Yes.
But we throw these people kind of, in feet first into the deep end, and they have to learn a lot of skills really quickly. And a lot of those skills are related to tasks that are now being taken over by technology, right? We're talking
Hmm.
scheduling appointments, taking prescription refills, faxing records. All of that stuff is starting to kind of get passed off to technological solutions more than ever before. And now with AI, it's going to be even greater than that. But there's still such a huge need for the human receptionist. So what I wanted to pick your brain about today is how receptionists can grow and expand their roles into this, brave new world and bring more value than ever before to practices because technology is taking all of this admin work off of their plates.
Yeah, it's such a powerful question to ask, especially right now in veterinary medicine, because as you stated, I think AI in general has us all kind of fearing, like, is AI going to take
Mm-hmm.
my job one day? And while it's very real for a lot of people, I think that you called it out beautifully already is in veterinary medicine, we will always need that human interaction, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
pets are just such a deep part of the family, and AI or technology in general is never going to be able to provide what we need in veterinary medicine for our clients. And so I think that the big one here that is very obvious is basically that technology mastery, right? And so the idea being that technology is not going away, and most practices are like sitting on capabilities that they've never unlocked. I mean, I've seen practices that had Cornerstone for years but had no idea that there was even a whiteboard with their Cornerstone system or even
Mm-hmm.
callback system. And so I think that this is the biggest opportunity here for any veterinary receptionist is to really become that technology master, that expert, whether it's the automated reminders, whether it's, the things that we are already doing. We need to learn not only how they work, but how can we maximize them for our practice. So a lot of this is going to be knowing that practice management software, identifying the workflows that could be automated that maybe aren't yet. Might be training the other team on those features that we might not know exist. It might be managing and quality checking the AI, because at the end of the day,
Mm-hmm.
we know that AI still needs to be given a brain. And so that might be monitoring whatever the chatbots get wrong or filling in those gaps. And I mean, you probably have a lot of insight in this too, in people sometimes not utilizing their technology to the top level that they could. Have you seen that as well?
Oh my gosh, definitely. I think that this is a tale that I've told many, many times, and I know you've heard me, on this soapbox, Maria. But there were tons of instances where people grabbed technology to kind of fill as many gaps as possible during COVID, during that huge surge of appointments, and now they don't even know really how all of it works. There's a lot of overlap, so maybe they have two,
Yeah.
sometimes three solutions that do the exact same thing.
Yeah.
And nobody has really had time to step back and audit not only the effectiveness, like, did we actually buy this technology from a place of solving a problem, or did we buy it, kind of out of a desperation, and how are we tracking its success? But also, how many of these same technologies are we using that do the same thing?
Oh, yes, you're speaking my language. I remember at some point we had one company that was using our fax, and then another one for our phone system, and then another one for like our online texting abilities. And so at some point we got one program that actually did all three of those. And so we were able to cancel three different payment things that we were doing because it was
Hmm.
the one program was able to offer all of those things. And so sometimes it's that mastery at its own, right? Like how inefficient are you being because you have all of this technology, but you're not really maximizing it to its full potential. I think that that's a real opportunity for veterinary receptionists and office managers and practice managers as a whole, but really being able to know what technology is out there and how can we utilize it to the max for our practice. Like what makes the most sense for our clinic is going to be huge.
Yeah, and I think as a leader, you can really look at this as an opportunity to grow your CSRs, right? A lot of these
Mm-hmm.
folks are younger. I mean, we all know that you have practices with the 67-year-old receptionist Barb who's been there, you inherited it with the practice, and
Yeah, yeah.
she knows those four walls better than anybody else will. But a lot of these younger CSRs, we know they're going to grow and branch off into different careers. Maybe they're just with us while they're in college, things like that. And this is an opportunity for you as a leader to teach them business skills. So, to
Yeah.
that point, auditing your tech stack, building a business proposal for what you would do next, evaluating cost. A lot of times I feel like practice managers are a little bit hesitant to hand these things over, but think of it as a practice run, right? Like you're not telling them to go do any actions with what you're asking, but you are telling them go gather the information. And it's a great mentorship opportunity. And it kind of helps get past that, typical receptionist feeling of like, all I do is answer phones day in and day out.
Absolutely. It's making a career out of something that could be made a career out of. And I think that that's another opportunity that we have here as we start to formulate our systems that things become more automatic. I even saw this in one of my management groups, one of the public ones that I'm in. Somebody asked, like, what do you guys have your CSRs do during downtime when, the phones aren't ringing like crazy? And there was a bunch of tasks mentioned in the comment. But what broke my heart is that nobody said education and training, because I was like,
Mm-hmm.
that is a huge missed opportunity, especially if you can organize your team well enough so that like we all know where our tasks are. And I can touch on that in just a moment, but especially like knowing that there is that time that's there, we can absolutely improve that medical training, the education even too, because all of that is super crucial for our receptionists. You've heard me talk about this over and over again, but the veterinary assistants and the veterinary technicians, they get to hear that medical piece in the rooms when the doctors are going over it with the clients. And so they're getting some of that training. But
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately for our veterinary receptionists, they're at the front desk. So they don't get to hear it. And therefore they don't have as much exposure. And so right now we have this opportunity to train them in not just as you said, the office practice management part, which by the way, super cool because now you can become a certified veterinary office manager through the VHMA
Mm-hmm.
too. That's an available thing for our receptionists, but it's also a great opportunity to have them train on that medical piece so they can confidently explain more complex procedures, answer those client questions. They can handle a broader range of follow-up calls rather than escalating it all up, and overall build the credibility with clients during those compliance calls, during those education conversations, because they have the medical training. And obviously the quick tasks to make the appointments or those tiny little pieces that technology is automating for us doesn't give you that opportunity to spend time educating the client. But now we have that opportunity where we can really invest in our CSRs, and the better trained they are medically, the more effectively they are everything else on the list that they do, right? So I think that's a great opportunity too.
And what a good impression for your clients to have somebody super knowledgeable at that front desk ready to greet you and handle your problem, right? And it's not that
Mm-hmm.
they have to be to the level of like a certified technician or a doctor, but when you think about your clients, interaction with your practice, when we're talking just the in-person interaction, right? Who's the first person they see when they walk in and who's the last person they see when they leave?
Yeah.
That you don't want that person to be leaving an impression of your practice that you guys don't invest in your people and they don't know up from down.
Yeah.
That's a really important error a lot of teams do make.
Yeah, and it does it. There's this big confidence piece that I think people forget about, and I share this story often because I started at the front desk,
Mm-hmm.
And I remember to this day, the first time that a client made me cry was, I will never forget this, because I was going over a wellness estimate for a cat. And at my clinic, RCP vaccine is core vaccine for all cats, right? And I went on to explain that to the client, and they were like, yeah, but what is that vaccine? And I'm like, well, it's the RCP vaccine. It's kind of like distemper for dogs, but it's for cats. And so we recommend all cats have this one. And he's like, no, but what does it protect against? And I'm like, well, it protects against 3 viruses, that all cats can get. And they're like, no, but what does it actually do? What are those 3 viruses? And I was brand new at the front desk, and I was like, let me go find. And he didn't give me a chance to say, let me go find someone. He immediately started yelling at me about, if you don't know what the recommendation is, why should I have it do it? I'm not doing that today. And he declined all vaccines. And the reason I was crying was because I felt so responsible that cat was not getting their
Mm-hmm.
vaccine, simply because I could not tell him the actual viruses. And I remember that after that, like, I was crying, and my partner at the time was like, hey, like, I've never, like, anytime you have to learn something, you just do it. And so what's stopping you? And I was like, no one's teaching me. And he's like, well, you got to teach yourself then. And I was like, yeah, you're right. And so I remember, for like a whole week up and down the clinic, I was practicing rhinotracheitis, caleci, panleukopenia, rhinotracheitis. 6 months later, the day finally came when I got to redeem myself. And it was almost like the same exact situation. Somebody was just like, but what does this protect against? And I'm like, trying to explain to him what it is. But finally, it just comes out of my mouth super easily. Well, it protects against 3 viruses, rhinotracheitis, caleci, panleukopenia. And he was like, oh, okay, great. And he signed it. And I was like, yes, because finally, like, that confidence in saying it that way, it makes a big difference for the client. Like, they
Mm-hmm.
know that what you're talking about because you're able to say it. And not that we should always be using these big fancy words. We should, at the end of the day, the opposite, right? We need to explain it in words that they're going to understand. But every once in a while, when a client is not sure that you know what you're talking about, the fact that you can pull out that medical information is hugely valuable from just a compliance standpoint, even at the front desk. And so I think that is a huge opportunity right now for our receptionists. Yes, absolutely.
What's crazy is that we would never expect that of a human medical
Right?
receptionist. Like, it would never.
No.
The
So
differences
true.
between human med and vet med are absolutely bonkers. It's ridiculous. But hey,
Yeah.
good for you. And for
Yeah.
every one of you that has a partner at home rooting you on and saying, hey, just go learn it yourself, there's 10 other people who maybe don't have that, or don't have
Yeah.
that natural, oh, I can go learn this myself. I can figure this out myself. And that's a door we really need to make sure is open for our team, that they know that they can come and ask us how they can learn something, or ask us how they can
Yeah.
find information.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm very grateful that at the end of the day, I was able to do that. And I think too, a lot of this also makes me think about the opportunity here with being proactive with our clients as well. So
Mm-hmm.
we're
Mm-hmm.
kind of talking about preventative medicine as a whole, and how I needed to explain that. And the education that comes with that obviously is really important. But I think, as the clients are able to book appointments on their own, that you can do it, after hours because of technology, and as they're able to kind of automate all of these things, we know in veterinary medicine. I mean, Mary, we just did you guys just released a state of the veterinary medicine where you were sharing how
Mm-hmm.
veterinary visits are down, but revenue is staying the same, mostly because of the price, adjustments that we've made. But the bottom line is that the reason why I'm saying, what do you do with your receptionist during the downtime, is because there's less appointments coming in right now. And I think that this is a good opportunity for us and our CSRs to be proactive. So with appointment volumes trending down, growth now depends on being proactive rather than waiting for the phone to ring. And so I think that
Mm-hmm.
we have positioned our CSRs to be able to drive that through what we used to call reactivation and activation phone calls. But essentially, it's basically all of those patients that are either past due for their preventative care that haven't come in, or all of the patients that are coming up due for their preventative care that haven't come in. And so being able to follow up on those, or even following up on those open-ended, open pending treatment plans, educating the clients on the wellness plans if you offer those, like the upcoming care needs, closing that gap from what is recommended and what's scheduled is a great way to kind of be more proactive, fill the books, and educate our clients. Because at the end of the day, like, I'm not gonna lie to you, Mary. The postcard comes in for my pets, but like I'll put it somewhere and then I'll forget. And it's not until they call me or they're texting me saying like, "Hey, we haven't seen Chewy for his vaccines," and I'm just like, "Ah, yes, you're right. How
Yeah.
embarrassing! I'm a veterinary professional, and he's like a week past due. This is not okay." But some of
Straight to the
us like,
recycling bin.
yeah, exactly. Like some of us need that, like the
Hmm.
automation is just not enough when you've got a super busy life. And so I think this is a good opportunity that for our receptionists, instead of being just the cost center, they can be the revenue driver for a practice by simply making those phone calls and just actively trying to bring our clients in when they need to.
100%. I could not agree more. And this also segues into something else that I feel is really important for receptionists right now, which is finding ways to like really, really delight your customers. I
Ah,
think as we
yes.
enter this place where, like you said, visits are down, but revenue is steady. We have to create more value to justify that revenue, right? Because like we can only increase prices so much. We know the American economy is a little bit hot right now. We know that clients have more price sensitivity than ever before. And corporate clinics are coming in. We're seeing more competition there. So, how do you make your clinic stand out? And this is such a great opportunity for the front desk to create these experiences that blow clients' minds and stick out in their memories.
Oh, absolutely. And to really showcase some of the values as you do it, right? Because at the end of
Mm-hmm.
the day, if you're, for example, even fear-free, if your clinic is a fear-free clinic and this is such a big value of yours, can your receptionist now start doing bandanas with pheromones on there for the patients? Like something that maybe before we didn't have enough time for, like can we actually start doing that? Can we start, triaging them into the rooms right away? How can we make our values really stand up? If we truly do say like you will be, we value the customer service experience, are we able to offer coffee and water as they're sitting and waiting for
Mm-hmm.
their appointments? Are we able to chit chat about what's going on with them and in their life? Because at the end of the day, you have different types of clients. You might have some clients who are like, no, I'd rather wait in the car. I'll text you that I'm here. But I know that I still have my plenty of clients. I'm a talker. Like when I go into the vet, I'm chit chatting away. I'm like, how's your day? I haven't seen you since the last time that I was here. And some clients really do need that. And having that is going to make you stand out. And oftentimes we know this as corporate buyout even has begun in buyout clinics. They're not just buying the clinics, they're buying the clinics and the team because they
Mm-hmm.
know that the clients have already built a relationship with your team, not just your doctors, but your technicians and your receptionists. And I love that you called this out earlier. You said the receptionist is the first and the last one. That's the primacy and recency effect. The human mind
Mm-hmm.
will tend to remember the beginning and the end of an experience more than the middle. And this is where our veterinary receptionists are, is in the beginning and in the end. So how can they almost level up that service part of the client service representative, right? And I think that's a great opportunity right now. Absolutely.
Yeah, I think of some things we used to do in my practice that just some granular ideas to kind of help people get started is, greeting every client and pet by name when they
Mm-hmm.
walk in the door, not asking them, hey, what are you here for? What's your appointment for? Whatever, but knowing, like I know that I've got, a lab with a female owner coming in at 3 o'clock. Odds are this is Bentley, so
Yeah.
having that greeting.
We
I
used to
live in Florida.
say, I'm sorry, I'm going to chime
Go
in here
ahead.
right here because we
No,
used
do
to
it.
say greet like a golden retriever, right? So like
Yeah.
as soon as he's like, hey, Mrs. Smith, so good to see you. And boy, the times where it really stands out, like I remember we used to have this biscuit who loved bananas. And I will not kid you, you should just this client almost cried when she brought in Biscuit. And I was like, oh, I brought a banana because I knew Biscuit was coming in. She was like, what? And it was just like the
Yeah.
cutest thing. It's just like that was his favorite treat. It was the only kind of treat he wanted. And we were like, we're gonna make sure he has it. But sorry to cut you off. That stuff just really does make such a big difference.
And it's
But anyway,
so small. Think about the cost
yeah,
of a banana, like
exactly.
40 cents from Trader Joe's.
I think that's what we did. I think we went
Yeah.
literally right next door to the convenience store and was like, oh, get this banana before Biscuit comes in. So yeah, so
That one's
easy.
I love that one a lot. What I was saying was that we're in Florida, so a lot of times it's raining here in the summer. It rains every day. So having receptionists go out to the car with an umbrella, help people carry in their carrier or get their pet in and not get soaking wet. Things like that
Yeah.
make a huge, huge difference.
Absolutely. I'm a big fan of the umbrellas, the small pieces again that that make them feel like this is more than just a business transaction, right? And that's,
Mm-hmm.
I think that's crucial, especially as most of us, we say we treat them like they're our own, or we treat them like family. And it's just like, let me tell you, I treat my family with a big old hug and a big old greeting, right? And so as we're
Mm-hmm.
stating this, not saying that you should go and hug your clients, please don't do that. But at the same time, it's just like greet like a golden retriever. And so like help out where you can. It's simple, remembering the names, remembering the patient, like you said, the umbrellas, the can I get you some coffee? Can I get you a water while you're waiting? All of that stuff. I think we're going to see more of the client service representative turn into more of a client coordinator, right? Where they're actually
Yeah.
coordinating more of the client experience versus doing the tasks of, well, let me just answer this email or let me just answer this phone, since so much of that is automated now.
Oh, yeah, yeah. And for coordination, even just increasing that communication between the front of house and back of house, right? Being able to go back and, tell people so and so's here. The puppy is nervous, whatever it may be, like giving more context, giving more of a way for the medical team to enter the room and seem familiar already. Like,
Yeah,
is the more we can seem as a practice like we are seamlessly communicating with one another, the better experience we're going to give our clients.
absolutely. 1,000%.
Well, do you have any other thoughts you want to add, Maria? Any other ideas for folks on how they can really, really leverage their CSRs in this time?
I mean, the only thing that I will point out is that I know we talked a little bit about education already. I do want to
Mm-hmm.
remind everyone that NAVR just launched, I want to say a couple of years ago. And there is now as well, I think registration is like $25. It's not bad. So if you're looking for resources for your veterinary receptionist, the National Association of Veterinary Receptionists is one great one. And then I want to say I've heard a lot of really good things around the veterinary receptionist certification program through Ignite as well.
Mm-hmm.
So that is super crucial. And then, oh, as always, the Veterinary Receptionist Appreciation Week happens in April. It's usually like the third week in April. So another great way to make sure we're recognizing our CSRs is just making sure that we know these resources are out there, and that we should be appreciating them, and that receptionists who pursue this formal training, tend to get ahead of what's coming, and so I think it's really beneficial for all of them. So just want to share those pieces in case it helps anybody out. And I think that's it. That's all I've got. So
Yeah, I love those. I think especially with Receptionist Week, like actually taking the time. Don't make Tech Week Staff Week. Tech Week
yeah.
is Tech Week. That should be
That could
for
be a
your
whole nother
technicians.
episode because I'm with
Oh my
you on
gosh.
that. I'm sharing that so hard right now. I'm like, hey, I know it seems like a lot of weeks, but I promise you that like they'll feel extra special if they get their own.
Exactly, 100%. We should be recognizing the contributions of those individuals and making sure that they have a standout week of their own.
Yeah.
Well, Maria, I can't tell you how much I appreciate you
Oh, I
swinging by the
appreciate you.
podcast today. I always
Thank
love
you for
chatting with
having
you.
me. Yeah, I love chatting with you. This was great. Thank you so much.
And if you haven't checked it out already, definitely check out the Uncharted podcast. Maria's hosting more and more episodes lately. It's always a good listen. And she
Oh,
just
thank
did
you.
a Is the CVPM Worth It episode, which I
Yeah, that
found
one's,
particularly good.
yeah, a lot of people like that one. Thank you for shouting that out. Thank you so much. That's so kind.
Of course, of course. And as always, you can find us Spotify, on Apple Podcasts. We're on Podbean, so you can visit us on the Pet Desk website. And please hit the subscribe button and leave a comment.